What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Rocked On Detroit Lions, bringing you guys the news and rumors today, man. We're going to be talking about, I guess, what's about to happen at 4 o'clock. And in the news surrounding Khalil Mack, and then I guess let's try to paint a picture of where are the Lions right now? Like, what's going on with this team? Are we getting better? Are we making lateral moves? What are we to expect over the coming days and the next week? So let me just welcome everybody into the chat so far, because you guys light it up every day, man. You get in here so early, and I love the conversation that I see with everybody. Everyone's greeting everyone and nice and cordial the way that it's supposed to be. So you guys are ultra professionals at what you do here. Makes my day a heck of a lot easier, I'll tell you what. So we got Tracy, Doug Michael Rosine. Apologize, Doug. Josh Jackson, Al Torrey, Lone Wolf. Who else is in here? J Mommy's in the house. Greg Warner, Braylon Dennis. Let's see here. Let me try to pronounce this one. Abasic bro. Probably butchered it, bro. I'm sorry. Who else we got? Jose Portillo. How's it going, man? Will Akers. I'm sorry I didn't get back to your text, man. I had a crazy day yesterday. Bucky McBadbat. Michael Shembry. Milemarker 301. So I've got a question from Milemarker 301. Like, is this Milemarker 301 in Michigan? Or I don't even know if there is a Milemarker 301 in Michigan, but where's Milemarker 301? I always find that name to be interesting. Test You Cold, Mark Baylor, a basic bro. Man, see, I didn't read between the lines. There you go. Love it. Oh, I-75. Okay. Gerald Swearingen. All right, so we got some new names, the same old names. The Lions faithful in here, not to be confused with the 49ers faithful. I think it's more like the 49ers crazy, to be honest with you. So let's talk a little bit about Khalil Mack and the news and rumors surrounding what's going on with DJ Reader. So last night, those of you that were on with us last night, we had some breaking news that happened, and I can't remember who broke it. It might have been Bucky that was saying that DJ Reader was heading to the Lions. And interesting enough, we confirmed it last night. It was confirmed through a couple of sources online, and DJ Reader will be in town tomorrow. And the notion is here he's not going to leave without a deal. And you guys have heard me speak about this already a few times. Like there was my list of the guys that I wanted, right? I mean, I can't always get everything I want in life, right? So far, I've gotten none. In this free agency. A lot of great fits, amazing players. Some of these guys got way overpaid, but such is life in the NFL. You want good players, you're going to pay for good players. And Brad Holmes has a different plan, different process. We've heard it for 4 years now, or this is our fourth offseason now. And I can't say that he's led us astray at all. I think maybe let down to a degree last year just because the cornerback room didn't work out. But I don't know how much you could say it's a letdown because of injury. I mean, both guys that come in, the high free agents get injured. But so back to DJ Reader here. You guys know that I've been asking for a dominant defensive tackle because that is the way, the path to the quarterback. And especially when you already have, an edge rusher like Aiden Hutchinson, who has all of the incredible skills in the world to do what he does and ability. It's just he's not able to beat any of the double teams, and he struggles sometimes with one-on-ones. You add a dominant defensive tackle next to Aleem McNeil, and Aleem is good. I don't think he's elite, but he's really good. And now that front of that line is going to have to be worried about Aleem and whoever this, unnamed defensive tackle is going to be. Let's just say it's DJ Reader. that is going to draw some attention away from Lee McNeil. And I hear, the other side to this too is, what do you, hold on a second here. Someone's saying that Mac is off the table. Who did he restructure his contract? That's the news that I reported earlier, so I didn't see it pop up yet. I had a little inside tip that he was going to restructure his contract to try to stay a Charger. Him and Bosa. If they weren't cut, they were going. Well, if one of them wasn't cut, they were going to restructure. Let me see if I can get it real quick. NFL.com reported it. Oh, man. All right. So we're not going to have to talk too much about Khalil Mack then, because that was the point. The point was I'm going to switch off DJ Reader. We'll come back. So the whole point with Khalil Mack was if they didn't work out a restructured contract today or renegotiated, he was going to be cut. And same thing went for Bosa. If one of those guys couldn't make it happen, they had to get under the salary cap. And those are the two biggest guys, on the roster right now, outside of the quarterback, to make it happen. So if Mac has restructured or renegotiated, now the question is Bosa going to fall in line, or is he going to be the one that gets cut or traded, to your point? Whoever just said that, I missed it. Chris. So like Chris pointed out there, Bosa likely to be traded in his opinion. I still don't see this news on Khalil Mack. But I don't have anything really up right now other than the Twitter's rolling. Got Tom Pelissero, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, all of them loaded up. And a lot of those guys right now are on live, and I can't play that live and listen and do this at the same time. So, I guess I could figure it out next time. But anyway, Khalil Mack's off the board then. If what you're saying, Trace, is true, then he's off the board. And that one hurts. I know that Derek was interested in having Mac in town, but my big thing was it would have to be a very cheap contract. And by cheap, I mean under $15 million a year. And if they would have cut him, it would have been a similar situation to Russell Wilson, where a lot of his salary would have been paid by the former team. So maybe the Lions could have, brought him in on a 1-year deal. And I would expect that would have been it. Because he's going to be ring chasing if he was cut. So we'll see what happens with Joey Bosa. We are literally 2 minutes away now from 4:00, and everything is about to go nuts. So after 4 p.m., there is no more negotiating prior to. Now it's your contract is in stone. And when your contract is now sealed, so from the way I understand it, any of those roster bonuses, anything that's going to be owed to these players after 4 p.m. on today becomes due. So they literally have 1 minute now before those contracts are set. And then the news is going to start hitting the wire of what happened. Hold on. I'm getting some messages here. One second. All right, nothing pressing yet. All right, so it is coming up on the 4:00 hour here in about 15 seconds. And the news is going to go nuts. So let's hope we get some good updates here. If you guys get some updates, don't be afraid to share them in the chat. Just make sure you use some verified sources like Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter. And don't, post it a couple of times if you need to, so that we can see it, make sure I see it. J Mommy says Betts is with the Lions. He turned down other offers from other teams. To that, the signing of Betts, look, we don't know what we have, right? So we're going to find out soon enough, in just a couple of months here. I mean, camp The mini camps, I want to say they open up April 15th. They can start having, internal practices. And it is now 4:00. So free agency is open. Contracts will be set in stone. And we're going to hear soon enough who was just cut, because you put it up to the 11th hour, and this is when all the news starts to roll. I'm watching the NFL Network guys, but they seem a little too busy drinking their coffee right now. Got Mike Garafolo, Ian Rappaport. Wish I could have the sound in, but I think I'll get copyright hit. So anyway, yeah, Braylon, just breathe, buddy. Everything will be all right, man. We got a good season ahead of us. No doubt. It's going to be super, 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 super tough to get back to the NFC title game. And I have no doubt in my mind that whatever Brad Holmes gives Dan Campbell and this team of coaches, they're going to work it out. And, even though that Mac is off the board now, there's a very slim to none chance that Bosa is even an option. But let's go back to DJ Reader. So I wanted a very dominant defensive tackle. I think it's a very high value option right now for the Lions because they're missing something like that. Aleem has been good, next to Aiden. If we didn't have Aiden, I don't think that Aleem would be as good as he is. It's just my opinion. I've always thought that he was undersized, underpowered. I like to see defensive tackles be a little bit bigger, a lot stronger, and have more impact through the middle of the offense. And Ndamukong Suh, he was an outlier, right? I mean, the dude was incredible. And that strength, that tenacity, that anger, that power, I mean, he brought it. Yeah, he was a little too much at times, cost us some games probably at times. But I would rather have someone that went all out all the time than someone that was reserved. And I'm not saying our guys are reserved, but I think you know what I'm trying to say there. So having a big dominant defensive tackle would give this team another option to free up the linebackers and allow Jack Campbell to do what he was actually really good at Iowa, which was getting to the quarterback. May not have had all the sack stats in the world, but he had, really good TFL stats, and he got his share of sacks too. But being able to send the linebacker blitz as opposed to the cornerback blitz, I think would be an excellent turning point for this team, where we're finally able to utilize the players, where they best fit and how they best play. Jack Campbell, he's great laterally, sideline to sideline, but he's also great at getting to the quarterback. And with his speed and his agility, there's no reason why you shouldn't be utilizing that. It's just been tough for him to get through the middle of the defense. If you're coming from the outside all of the time, now you know why the center of our defense has been wide open. Where some of the biggest gash plays happened, right through the center of that defense. The broken plays with Justin Fields through the center of that defense. A few of them off of Aiden's side too. And that's because, all of your corners and safeties got their backs turned running downfield, as opposed to having, some stout defensive tackle in the middle of the field to be able to eat up, a couple of offensive linemen. And then you're able to free up a linebacker to fly through the middle to get to the quarterback or the running back, whoever has the ball. Daniel Highborn, what was your question, buddy? I didn't see a question. Bosa is getting cut unless someone trades ASAP. Sinuesa says, in your opinion, if we get Reader, where do you go in the draft? So if we do get Reader, I think that kind of sets up the draft to grab the edge rusher. Even though we've already brought in Betts and Davenport, I still think that they're going to want to get a young edge rusher because Davenport's only signed for one season. I I'm not sure on Betts. I don't know if I ever saw any contract details. I know it was a reserve futures. I don't know if it was any more than that. So if we do get that defensive tackle, I think that they would still attack. They would still attack the outside. Now, be that as it may, where are we really light at right now? Offensive line. So I think as of today, right now, my number one opinion would be they're going to be going after offensive line heavy with left guard, potentially another tackle, but I think that would be a later pick. They would be smart to find a tackle that could play guard and tackle, and I think edge rusher and then corner is going to be the other option. I think those are the three positions they're obviously going to attack pretty heavily. So Jose Portillo says Bosa isn't getting cut. Adam Schefter reported the Chargers are cap compliant now. Well, that's interesting. Daniel Highborn says, is Stiggers coming to Detroit? He came in on a pre-draft visit, but we just won't know until he's actually drafted if he would be a Detroit Lion for this season. So we're still, a couple of months away here, about a month and a half, whatever is it, until the draft, to know if Stiggers will be coming to Detroit. And I don't know if that visit's already happened yet either. I don't have any confirmations, obviously, what visits have or have not happened. Obviously, the combine visits are the combine visits. Those are done during the combine, but your top 30 visits, your pro day visits, all of that will happen afterwards. Haven't heard anything on James Houston, but so let me pull up the Lions free agents. I updated my Twitter list this morning of all the people that were supposed to be cut and or re-signed. Let's see what we're looking at. Let's see here. Timothy Turbo 2 says, always build your line in the draft. They're young and not damaged yet. They're also inexpensive compared to, look what Robert Hunt just did, man. $25 million for a guard. That's insane to me. Brent says Reader might not be able to play until week 6. So that would be two of our guys. So you would have Reader and Emmanuel Mosley that may not be ready till week 6. So, I think that the reason why Reader hasn't gotten a ton of action here is the fact that this injury that he had week 15 of last year, put him out for a year. So it is very big potential that Reader, signs a pretty friendly deal that is backloaded with incentive so that he gets an opportunity to play this year. And based on how he does, he'll probably head off to another team, after this season is done. If he has a pretty rough go at it and just can't make it back to the field fully, who knows? Might get him, for another year, pretty inexpensively. But, the word is on the street that the Reader is supposed to sign a deal. I believe the terms will be negotiated, obviously, in Detroit. Nobody knows, what offerings are happening right now. It's highly unlikely that anyone would have that information. Odds, Brad trades pick 73 for Sweat. Which Sweat are we talking about? Obviously, we're not talking about Trevonde Sweat in the draft, but I think that Trevonde Sweat may be, on the Lions list as far as an option for defensive tackle. He plays more of the nose because he's so darn big, but he doesn't move like a guy that's 360 plus pounds. Brad is shopping at the emergency room. Braylon, I love it. That's funny. So let me pull up the Lions free agency list. So obviously we know Jonah Jackson is gone. The Lions have signed Amik Robertson, Marcus Davenport, Chauncey Gardner is gone. Both Jonah and Chauncey, I reported on a couple of weeks ago that those guys would not be back. Romeo Okwara, nothing yet. Tracy Walker, obviously we know what's going on there. He's been released. Charles Harris. Word on the street with Charles, he was supposed to be released. But given the fact that the Lions have had a pretty meager free agency, if you will, there is the potential that he comes back on a cheap deal, is what I was told. Halapoulithi Vaitai, again, this should be a no-brainer. He should be, let go without a doubt. Josh Reynolds was supposed to be brought back on a fairly team-friendly deal, but if that couldn't get worked out, obviously today, there is the potential that they bring DPJ back. Yeah, I know. Charles had that one amazing season, and then he got a bag, and then he kind of just fell off. But we'll see. We do need camp bodies. We do need depth. And I would, again, if it were me with the checkbook, I would give anybody that is decent, $1 million to come out and try out in camp. More than likely, they're not going to get all the money because you've got to earn it, right? I mean, you got to play to get paid. So, and I apologize. I can't get to all the questions or statements in here. Frank Carroll says, sign Khalil, trade up and get Mitchell. Draft a better kicker late round. Draft a guard mid rounds. Sounds like a plan. I'd say so too. So Chris says he'd rather have DPJ over Josh personally. So I love the fact that Josh Reynolds has all of this experience and chemistry with Jared Goff. And I understand, there was a couple of drops in the last game, but if you look over the course of his career, he has been so invaluable to Jared Goff, whether he was a Ram or a Lion. The dude hardly ever drops a ball, and he knows this offense, and he's always on time. He's always in the right route. He's a heck of a blocker downfield. So for those reasons, I'd like to see him back. I don't think that the drops are going to be, part of his MO moving forward. I really don't. Dolphins release Howard. Gotcha. I'm still hoping for Kevin Zeitler. I've seen that name thrown around a couple of times. I apologize. I don't know who Kevin Zeitler is. And I probably should. Better the Hunt says we're at the geriatric park. That's all right, Tracy. I got the same thing happening to me every day. All right. So we ended with Vaitai or Josh Reynolds. So Teddy Bridgewater, obviously we know he's a high school coach. Will Harris is supposed to be cut. Sudfield is supposed to be cut. Nelson was supposed to be cut. Julian is already an Eagle. I think he was an Eagle anyway, right? He signed with the Eagles. Braylon Dennis super chat says Reynolds needs to redeem himself for the title game. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but here, let me throw this at you, Braylon, and anybody else that kind of has that notion. How many other things happened in that game? So we had the fumble, right? The Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. We had the 2 drops by Reynolds. We had the 17 unanswered points given up by the defense. What else happened in that game? Didn't we have an Amon-Ra St. Brown drop in that game too? There was another drop. Another player had a drop. Memory's fading. I wanted to kind of push that whole game out of my mind by now. So there was plenty of issues that game. I mean, the Lions came out in the second half and completely pooped the bed. They did. They whether you call it celebrating at half or you let all that instant success kind of get to your head at halftime, and they're riding that high wave into the locker room, and then they came out flat. The other 2 things that I would say, and I think this is to Frank Carroll's point too, is what happened to the coaching in the second half? You're up 17 points. Your goal, you should add 1 goal. Keep everything in front of you. Don't let anybody get behind you, and put yourself in more of like that nickel defense, quarters, hell, even a shallow shell dime package. Keep everything in front because you knew that
there's the snap, there's the knee. That's one. You stand up, Jared. Put those arms in the air. Put those arms in the air, 16.
So you knew that the Niners were going to come out slinging the ball. Oh, the Khalil Dorsey, or not Khalil Dorsey, the Kindle Vildor deal where he, the ball bounced off him, off his face or whatever, and then Ayuk caught it. I mean, freak plays. Looking back on that, I still have the vision of Cam Sutton just kind of looking over while the play's going on instead of running over to help make the play. If he would have ran over, he could have swatted the ball out of Ayuk's hands or swatted it out of the air. Or heck, dare I say, he even could have caught the interception. And when you go back and watch it in full speed, he had plenty of opportunity to get his butt over there. But it's not his fault. And Kindle Vildor, I mean, he tried to make a play on the ball, freak play. So you've got 4, 5, 6 things going on there. But my biggest thing is the coaching in that position. I think the coaches kind of got, I don't know if scared's the right word, but I think they outthought themselves instead of keeping it easy and just doing the things that needed to get done. They were too aggressive. And sometimes you can't be that aggressive. As far as kicking the field goals and that, I don't think that really had a huge impact on the game. I think that those were the right calls at that time. But I will say this, to your point, who just said that about abandoning the run? George or Jorge. It says abandoning the run. Big time. Big time. You got that big of a lead. Your first goal in the second half, like I said, keep everything in front of you. Bend, but truly bend, but don't break. Let them get 7, 8 yards. Don't let them get 10, 12, 14, 18 yards. Make them, run through 15 plays to the end zone. But then the run game. Your first goal on offense should be get the first down, run the ball. Get the first down, run the ball. Chew up the clock. So those two things didn't happen. And I think it was a big learning lesson for them, obviously at the expense of making the Super Bowl. So I'm sorry we kind of got off into this tangent, but let's get back to free agency here. So Matt Nelson, like I said, supposed to be gone. Julian Okwara supposed to be gone. Jake McQuaid supposed to be gone. Kindle Vildor's an odd one. So I've heard some grumblings that he might be back on a fairly friendly deal. And I know I say that about a lot of guys, but it's one of those things where there's not a whole lot of people knocking on your door, and the Lions need depth. And I think that Kindle Vildor is a pretty good corner. I just think that he was put in, pretty crappy position last year, taking over for Jacobs and didn't really have all the help that he needed. I see Eric Armstead was released per Ian Rappaport. Interesting. So let me pull up my Twitter here. Nothing from the Lions just yet, man. This is making my heart flutter a little bit. All right, so among the long anticipated moves, the Dolphins are going to be releasing cornerback Xavier Howard. I could have sworn that didn't a team already look at a destination for him? So if Xavier Howard is available, I do love him as an option if he's truly going to be available. What's DJR? You're going to have to help me out here. DJ Reader. So the DJ Reader news is this. The meeting will be tomorrow with the Detroit Lions. He's coming in on an official free agent visit. And in what I'm hearing is that he should be, offered a deal. The goal obviously is to sign somebody that can be an impact player in the middle of this defense. Whether or not they can get something worked out based on his injury status, with a heavy, kind of backloaded deal is what I'm expecting based on performance. That's kind of what I'm hearing, and also partly my opinion. So DJ Reader in town tomorrow, meeting with the Lions. Supposed to be working out a deal. Anyway, Xavier Howard is being released, and I am not seeing a lot of this other stuff. I'm gonna have to switch to a different guy. All right, let's see what Ian's got. So the 49ers have released, like Tracy and a couple of you guys have reported that Eric Armstead has been released. And let's see who else here. They also re-signed Brandon Allen, offensive lineman Colton McKivitz, and safety George Odom. So Armstead, 6'7", 290 pounds, originally drafted in as a 17th overall selection in 2015, has appeared in 116 games, 97 starts, registered 302 tackles, 33.5 sacks, 6 passes defensed, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. He also started in all 12 of his playoff appearances, registering 38 tackles, 8 sacks, and 1 forced fumble and 1 fumble recovery. Armstead's 8 sacks in the postseason are the second most in franchise history. Must be nice. So sounds like a pretty solid dude to me. Let's see if Brad Holmes gets on the phone. I wouldn't mind having Eric Armstead around. He was kind of a thorn in our ass in the last half of that game. Any thoughts on Armstead, everybody? Ooh. So Mark Baylor is saying that he failed a physical. Xavier Howard failed a physical. I didn't hear that yet. Brent, what's happening, Brent? I don't know what you're talking about in there, but if you've got issues with people in the chat, just let Tracy and Better the Hunt know. They're mods for today. All right, so next on the list, Bears have agreed to terms with quarterback Brett Ripien. Let the Bears have that as an option to start the season. Interesting. That's a big question. So what's going on here with Justin Fields? He's not getting much action at all. I haven't heard anything at all that of which teams are really interested in bringing him in, and I think that's kind of telling of his value and what teams are thinking. They're probably hoping that he was going to be cut as opposed to traded. So we'll see what happens. Bears are getting good, man. I think that with everything going on in the NFC North, the Packers and the Vikings have really amplified their rosters, and Brad Holmes needs to get to work. So we know that Shane Zielstra obviously was tendered or re-signed. Scott Daly should be re-signed. Benito Jones was another interesting one. Supposed to be a depth signing. Obviously, I haven't heard anything else. I haven't heard anything yet today. Donovan Peoples-Jones was supposed to be a secondary option to Josh Reynolds if Josh Reynolds doesn't come back or on a friendly deal. The DPJ does have a shot to make this team. Khalil Dorsey has an outside chance, and obviously we know Jerry Jacobs is gone. So, all right, moving on. Let's see what else we got in here. So 424 and not much happening. We got off to a flurry on Monday. It was nuts on Monday. And now here we are right after 4 p.m. and they're probably, sending everything to the league office. The league has to, put everything into the system, I guess. And of course, you got to get everything to Ian and Mike Garafolo and everybody else before it goes out. Quick touchy subject. I don't do politics. especially in this setting. But somebody please tell me our country isn't falling apart that much that Aaron Rodgers is going to be on a VP ticket. Like, what's going on here? Like, come on, people. Like, are we serious right now? Like, can we get some people that are well qualified? There's got to be some more well qualified people than Aaron Rodgers. Is this just a popularity vote? Like, we just going, throwing people on tickets for the heck of it? I mean, if that's the case, I'm available.
Jameson makes the catch. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, number 9.
Unbelievable. That's future VP Aaron Rodgers to you. Yeah. Oh man. Hey, I'm a big believer in the two-party system needing a change too. There's a lot that needs to go on in our country, but I'll leave it at that. It's a touchy subject, man. I have seen politics ruin families and friendships, and I stay out of it as much as I can. At least publicly. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Tom Pelissero 6 minutes ago said only 7 restricted free agents received tenders. And that includes, of course, Brock Wright from the Detroit Lions. So that's a pretty interesting move this season around the league. I wonder why. So the Rams left tackle Alaric Jackson, wide receiver Hawan Jennings, and Seahawks defensive back Michael Jackson, and of course the Lions Brock Wright, the Rams linebacker Michael Hoke, and Giants defensive back Nick McLeod, and Seahawks linebacker John Radigan were the only players to receive tenders. That is kind of interesting news. It's a light year for some reason. Someone had mentioned, and I don't know which podcast it was or who I was listening to, but they did say, and I think I spoke about this already, that during, and soon US, I'll get to your question in just a second, that during the combine, that a lot of these coaches get together and they're like, look, I'm not going to go after your dude as long as you don't go after my dude. And we want to get something worked out with our dude. So let us get that done. And then if it falls apart, obviously you can do what you want. And have we not noticed that? Like, have we not noticed over the last couple of weeks that there's been like zero news on a lot of these players that were restricted free agents or even exclusive rights free agents? The unrestricted, obviously, there hasn't been a ton of news there either until this Monday. So I find that interesting that this year has been a little bit light, but this person said that there's a lot of collusion that is happening between these players on behalf of these players by their respective teams and the owners around the league, kind of handshake deals, the good old boy deals, whatever you want to call it, kind of behind the scenes, like scratch my back and I'll scratch your back. So I'm not happy with that, but it's one of those things that, let's not go down that path in here, guys. I shouldn't have brought up politics, but anyway, so I am surprised that there's really not a whole lot going on this year other than what we've seen the last 3 days. And now here it is after, half hour after 4 p.m. and nothing's going on. I see Jimmy G was released. I heard that was going to happen the other day. I think it was Derek that let me know that Jimmy was going to be released. They have also released Brian Hoyer, Hunter Renfrow, and Jerry Tillery. Now, I don't know where Hunter Renfrow is in his career, but that could be an interesting option, depending on what he's looking for. Sinuesa asked earlier, would you take Hollywood Brown Or is that just me? I feel like he's a dog. So, I haven't looked at his stats, but let's look at him. I don't even know how old he is. So Marquise Brown will leave, obviously, the Arizona Cardinals. They were saying it at free agency start today. I don't even know. How old is he? So he's 26, so he's still young. Last season, he had 51 receptions, 574 yards, 11 and a half average, 4 TDs. Don't know how many games he played in. But of course, he was with the Cardinals, man. The Cardinals had a terrible season. I don't know if he's a locker room guy. I don't know anything about him. It looks like he appeared in 14 games. So he missed 3 games for something. He was targeted 101 times. Oh, we got messages coming in. All right. So I don't know. I guess it would have to depend on the contract, but I mean the Lions do need another wide receiver. They really do. And I'm expecting them to be players in the draft this year because there's quite a bit of free agents. There's quite a bit of free agents available. Not free agents, sorry. There's quite a bit of draft eligible players in this draft. How's the Tillery defensive tackle that the Raiders cut? I don't know. We'll have to check. Yeah, let me open up another sheet. I'll make some notes because we have off the cuff to do yet. And we'll make some notes here. Let's see. Day 3 of free agency. Let me wind this back here. There's a couple other questions in there. So J Mommy says that she didn't think that the Bears are going to get a first round pick from. I don't think so either for Justin Fields. I don't think so either. I think that they think he's worth too much and he's not. Lion King says, my friend from Cincy won't text me back. That's good. Let's see. Williams is scheduled to visit Chicago, and then they will make a decision on him live stream from NFL.com. Which Williams we talking about? Let's see here. There's been a trade. Joe Mixon is headed. Oh my God. The Houston Texans. The Texans they're all in this year. They've already got the best defensive front right now, hands down. And now they just added Joe Mixon to the pot. What is going on down there? Like, they are not afraid to spend money. They're not afraid. Thomas Rotundi, that was yesterday. I don't know. It was just released 6 minutes ago by Ian. Better the Hunt. I don't know how they had so much money. Obviously, they've been very careful with what they've been doing with the cap. I guess let me put it to you this way. When we look at what Brad Holmes is doing, there's a reason why, he's been saying the same thing for years, that we're trying to build sustained success, right? And part of that is building through the draft. You get guys that are young, you develop them, you mold them, you shape them, and then, you've got them on cheap 1 year or rookie deals. So as you do that for multiple seasons, you're keeping your cap liability low because you're invested into rookie deals. And then you're, bringing in a couple of guys here or there that maybe aren't as expensive. And that's the thing that, with Brad Holmes and these 1-year deals is he has no commitment to these guys at all past this year. And that keeps your cap low. So next year we're going to have a bunch more money depending on what they do with the extensions. And every year after that, that money just compounds to build because the salary cap is going up, but yet you're not grabbing a bunch of super expensive free agents, like Daniil Hunter for $25 million or, Chris Jones, 30 plus million. Christian Wilkins, I think he was 30 million or something crazy. Yeah, Houston's definitely going to have to, clean out the house probably next year. And that's what you see. Like, this year you had, let's see, the Broncos, the Dolphins, I think the Saints, the Bills. There's 5 or 6 teams that were in cap purgatory. I mean, they were upside down, and you've got to shed, you got to cut weight. And once that job was done and they got through cutting everybody, well, now they can bring back some of their own players or renegotiate deals with them, bring them back in. And that's going to happen to some teams. They go out and spend big time. They're thinking that they're going all the way in 2024. Doesn't happen. They have to readjust. Therefore, they're going to have to cut bait next year. So, and I'm sure you already knew that too, but for everybody else out there, may or may not know. Thomas Rotundi says the injured players thing is annoying. Andrew Jones says the Ravens with Henry is still better than the Texans. Man, that is a scary duo, is it not? I mean, can you imagine that Henry's going to be out there blocking for Lamar Jackson now? Because Lamar's still the number 1 running back. I guarantee it. Now, last year he didn't seem to run as much, but with a guy like Henry, man, I mean, you have the option of doing both. Justin Simmons still available. I still think that we do need a safety. So right now, what is this? I don't even know what this is. So anyway, right now, with the loss, well, I don't think it's a loss of CJ Gardner. You have to look at addressing that position. So it's one of two things. Either Brian Branch is going to head back to his other position. They've also brought in Amik Robertson, who can play the slot really well. So I think the position is kind of covered, but we still need another safety for depth. And I think if the Lions are probably going to grab a safety, it's going to be in the 3rd round. Even though we only have 1 3rd-round pick now. Michael Williams recovering from the ACL might be up to Lions Alley. I just can't stand. I can't stand the injuries. I put out a Twitter post earlier. I said, unless he's hurt or misses 25% of his games, he's not coming to the Lions. The fact he's got an ACL, I think that kind of puts us in the running now. But I don't know if we need a Williams. I don't think we do. Let me check some other sources here because it is slow rolling right now. I expected a flurry of Lions news. I don't understand what's taking so long. Typical Brad fashion will probably be 10 o'clock tonight. Check something else here. Okay. We have a rumor tracker here by the Detroit Free Press that is stating the Lions still have about 31 million in cap space after the first 2 days, that we entered Monday with about 45 million in cap space, which was the 9th most in the league. And I think both of those numbers are kind of false. I would expect that Brad Holmes is going to get some restructured deals, with Davenport at a minimum, and or Carlton Davis. More than likely, they'll be able to get, some sort of a new deal put into place with Davis. At least add a void year, to kind of kick the can a little bit. I mean, he's still going to get paid all of his money next year anyway. But there's nothing else going on here. And I've seen the rumors floating around with T. Higgins. I just don't see that. I don't see that happening. I think they're really going to try to develop Jameson Williams this year, try to put him into more of a prominent role. I really don't see us going out and getting a top tier wide receiver like that other than the draft. Guns Film says, I think that Detroit is signing players to 1-year deals so that the draft picks can fill in for them at some point. That's great perception there. And I think that's, that's a great exercise. Here, I'm going to write that down because you just gave me an idea. So I'm going to go back and look at the drafts. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to look at the drafts and the free agents. And see how they line up. But I would say that, that is a good, good temperature on the room, if you will, that, the players that we do sign to shorter deals will need, someone to fill in for them at some point. So is that lining up as a draft pick? What is going on with Tom Pelissero here? I think they're having too much fun on the NFL Network instead of putting out the news. Still nothing. All right. So I guess that's the news for right now. We've been on for a little over an hour, and we'll have to check back. We'll let things kind of run around for a little bit. I'll break some breaking news as we get going throughout the day. But there's one more spot that you can find your breaking news, and that is sportspider.com. Please check out SportSpider, SportSpyder.com. Check it out. You guys will love it. I'm going to put it in the chat so that you guys can go right to it. If you would like, you can go on here and organize all of your news, all of your threads, your favorite teams, your favorite sports. And you'll see Rocked On Podcast Network featured in the Detroit Lions news section, which this website's awesome, man. They claw in all of the news from every source. And I think it's just a unique way to have your news in front of you. And I know there's other sites like it. Here I'll pop in the link to the Lions site. There you go. J Rod says, "Hey Will, I was lost in the other feed. What other feed, man? I'm not following you, buddy." Craig Maderio says CJ Gardner-Johnson and Branch was an example of last year. It's a great example. Absolutely. Mike P says, "What's your thoughts on Boyd?" From Cincinnati. Boyd Writing? I don't know who Boyd Writing is. Are you sure that's the last name? Oh, Tyler Boyd. Did he get cut? What's going on there? Yeah, what's going on with him? Did he get cut, traded, or what? What's going on with Boyd? Because they have issues with Higgins too. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you were in the other stream, and the chat didn't show up in here. Well, that's messed up because they should all be under one chat. So, J-Rod, if you were in the other one on Rocked On Syndicate, everything should come to this chat. Lions put the tender on James Houston. That just happened right now. And Carlton Davis is at the podium right now. All right, let's pull Carlton Davis in. Give me just a second.
You recognize things like that. You respect those qualities in a team for sure.
How do you see yourself fitting in and helping, from playing against them and seeing how they were rocking around you? What do you think you bring to the table?
Man, you about to get a lockdown corner. You about to be able to have one side.
All right, we'll listen to him.
Like, unavailable. That's what I do. I'm here to take out the number one receiver on any team. I'm here to deny the ball. I'm here to take the ball away. And you guys had some good DBs last year. Obviously, I play defense, so I'm more focused on the offense. But you guys play good on defense for sure. Looking forward to getting to know these guys, meshing with these guys, and hoping I can lead them to Super Bowl for sure.
Can you walk us through the trade itself? I mean, did you have an inkling something was coming?
I like that hat.
No.
No.
I was just regular day.
So when it comes, what's
Yeah.
the reaction? How does
It was actually a shock, man. Just being there for 6 years, being a natural-born Floridian myself, it was a shock just to get the call. And it always is. It's natural to have that response. But after, talking about it with my family, understanding the situation.
I don't know about you
where I
guys,
was
but
going, the opportunity that
why the
lies ahead,
glasses?
it gave me a lot of excitement.
Is he
A lot
stoned?
of hope coming here. And, Detroit has a big market here, man, a deep fan base, something that I'm really looking forward to diving
just
into
no
and being a part
F-bombs.
of, man. You guys have a great
F-bombs
team
are the
here.
bad ones. Anything
So when
else
the
is
trade happened,
okay
I was shocked.
right
but
now.
there was just two sides, like an excitement and the
As long
side
as it's
that
not
was,
pointed at other
shocked,
people.
And over time, as the days go by, man, I just feel more comfortable, and just putting it in God's hands and allowing Him to just taking control over the situation.
saw that fan base firsthand last year, Dan?
Oh yeah, man, just blue, that's just blue everywhere. And Tampa, they have a decent fan base for sure, but you can always tell if a team has a strong fan base if they can come in and just kind of take over in some sort of fashion. So, coming here is a great move for me.
Love it.
Initial conversations with
Even he
people within this
recognizes we
organization,
travel well.
Since the deal became official.
Just their excitement about me coming, how I can help them out, a piece that can really help us get to the next step, man. A lot of good dialogue, mutual respect. So with the coaches, the staff, haven't met some of the players yet, but takes Amaral. He texted me earlier today. I always had a great respect for Jared. Told him after the game. So looking forward to getting to know these guys, meshing with them, and just creating a brotherhood.
Did you have any relationships with players or coaches here that are here?
No, not really. I never really was on a team with them or competed with them at any point, but obviously competed against them, and there's a mutual respect there for sure. So it's all new. It's all new for me.
So when like the Brian Burns trade, like you got a new deal as part of that, is there, I don't know, is that part of this? Do you want to sign something long term? Have you had any talks with the organization about that?
Yeah, on and off. But it's still early. Like, I just got here. Would love to sign here. Definitely want to get my feet wet first and get in the building before I start talking extension. But this is a great organization, and it's going. It's like trending. It's trending upward. So I would love to be a part of a dynasty where we can go and win multiple championships over the next couple of years, man. That's one of my goals, is to create something that is kind of like the Lakers, It's kind of like what all the dynasties did back in the day, Chicago Bulls. And I think they have a nice young roster, great coaching staff, great culture here to do it, honestly. Even when we won it back in Tampa, you just kind of see the same similarities here, but younger players, here. So there's a lot of growth.
You hit on it a little bit.
You have said you're open to it, or?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely open to it, for sure.
You hit on it there. You have been to the top of the mountain in this league. When you experienced that success, what did you learn about what it takes to reach that pinnacle?
Man, you got to be able to weather the storm, be poised in all situations. Obviously, trust your teammates, and accountability is huge, man. Everybody has to do their part consistently, and be able, like I said, to overcome obstacles, man, because it's never going to be a smooth ride, and you're never going to always have it your way. Games can go either way. Momentum always changes, but you got to be resilient, which this team has shown many times. And even coming up short, man, they were so close, So it's the little things that matter. It's the details. It's the small details that eventually gets you to where you want to be at.
You mentioned you want to be a lockdown corner, deny one side of the field. You haven't played a full season in your career so far, and I don't think you've been known as that precisely. What gives you confidence that you can be that?
Shade thrown.
Well, I've done it before. I've done it, taking guys out the game before. Check the film. Turn on the Tampa Bay film. Turn on me
He
against
said
top
check the
receivers
tape.
and see their stats when I'm on them, not when they're in zone, not when they're in the slot running away from me, not when I'm in zone, when I'm man-on-man press. Turn on that film, and then let me know what you think.
Is there one game that stands out to you against one guy that you can point us to?
You can go to what year? What year? Pick a year. I'll give you a game. Last year? Who was last year? Who was my bid last year? Who did I have a good game against last year? Man, you just kind of damn.
I don't like that one.
About it.
You can't remember who he had a good game against.
No, I didn't even play the Packers game. Yeah. Yeah, there's been so much going on. It's hard to recall it.
They put him on the spot, man. You can't call him out and not have it up.
The Panthers, Saints. Just turn the film on. There's so many games you can just watch. I mean, I know you're in Detroit, but if you ever turn on the Tampa Bay film, there's a reason why I'm here and why they wanted me to be here. So
Needed to have somebody checking
Just your personality,
checking the questions.
What you're into, what do you want people to know about you outside of the football player?
I'm a cool guy, man, family man. Just a regular dude outside, man. I love being a dad. Love golfing from time to time. Into music. Pretty chill, man. There's nothing that's really like stand out as far as like me just wanting to be a better person every day.
Football question for you. A lot of left side play for you the last few years. I don't know if that was a coaching decision, a preference. What is it about the left side that's been good to you?
Yeah, the left side is typically where they throw the ball at mostly. There's a lot of right-handed quarterbacks. If you flip it, that's the left side of the defense. So typically you send your
Good
best
answer.
corner to the left side.
Good answer.
What was your impressions of watching Jameson Williams on film?
A deep ball guy, fast, still coming into his own, crafting, but has like a huge ceiling that he can get to.
Playing press man. This team played a lot more zone. It's kind of where the league has gone, playing more zone. You've had a lot of success playing in zone. So what is it that makes you a good, I guess, both man and zone corner?
Film study, honestly. Knowing what's about to come and understanding how a team is trying to attack you in certain coverages.
How did you develop that process through college and the pros?
Experience, understanding what works and what doesn't work. Coaches, just trying to be a student of the game, trying to be better, you know. And film study is something that every player will get better at. Once you understand the game more, it becomes slower. You see things faster. You react faster because you know you've seen it plenty of times. Concepts start to repeat themselves. Teams start to develop an identity. You start to see what they like, what they don't like, what they like to do on third down, what they like to do during sudden change. What's their red zone go-to route? Who's their favorite player to go to on third down? You know, what they do
this
when
is.
pressure's
I'm
coming.
gonna turn this off.
Do
You
they-
guys
do
can go
they
back
get
and
the
watch
ball
it. I
out
wanted to hear a
quick?
little bit about what he
Are
had to
they
say,
trying
but
to run the ball, like, you know, there's different things.
this is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to get into media, and we'll be there. We'll be in the room at some point soon. It's so apparent that the guys in the room right now asking these questions, someone made a point in here that instead of pointing out all of the guys' weaknesses, why not just welcome them to Detroit? This is like the first shot that you're going to get at meeting this guy and setting the tone and creating a relationship with him. And if you want to have good relationships with players, coaches, or anybody, it doesn't mean that you can't be critical. It doesn't mean that you can't ask the tough questions. But today is not that day. This is not the day to press up against Carlton Davis. Now, you heard me be a little bit tough on him the other day, and it's for a lot of the same reasons that you know, some of these questions that are being asked, you know, today, and it's because he missed a lot of games. His stats are not the greatest. He had his best season in 2020, which was the Super Bowl, you know, winning team with Tom Brady. You know, I'm glad that he fired right back at them about, you know, why are you on the left side of the field? And that reporter obviously isn't smart enough to know that there's a ton of right-handed quarterbacks and they throw the ball to their right, that they don't throw across their body. That's just a big no-no. Now, some quarterbacks do, especially on broken plays, but that's not traditional. So great answer by him, but they stumped him up. They put him into a box. He was just trying to say, hey, just check the tape, go watch it, you know, quit asking me questions, go watch it, do yourself a favor, learn who I am. And oh my God, I'm on the screen right now. I just came up next on that video. Let me get that off. It's today's video. It's right now. So anyway, that kind of stuff ticks me off a little bit. Like media, you know, you're all about the truth, honesty, and transparency. You're supposed to be, but media is under attack. And Peter King, you know, when he retired a few weeks ago, and he's still going at it, but this is his last year, or he's already done. He's just been appearing on just about everything. He made the statement that media is under attack, and not only is it under attack, but it's kind of lost its art. It's lost its way. As opposed to, you know, driving narratives all the time and putting out misinformation and disinformation all the time. it was what it is now. It's gotten away from being the people's, it's for the people, right? The fact checkers, the people that are keeping you honest, the people that are finding the facts and delivering the facts to the people. It's like the people's babysitter almost. Like, I don't know how to really put it, but media is it used to be highly respected, and it used to be highly regarded as a place where you could go and find some answers to things that you could trust in. And it's kind of fallen away from that. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to get into this and start doing this is being an investigative journalist, I think, is where I really fit, and trying to find the facts and get the answers to be able to deliver to the people. With sports, it's the same way. I try to find the facts. I dig into all the details. I try to report, all the good news, that's coming, and the bad news about the players or the games or whatever. I try to be realistic with it. It's hard to separate fandom on Sundays from, being realistic as well. And some of that stuff I take, or some of the stuff I say is hard to swallow because not everybody gets so deep into it like I do. That's the difference between, a fan that just watches the game on Sundays and someone that's like inside the TV trying to find every minute detail like me. And it's no shade against you guys. It's just I approach it differently. Like, I'm trying to really deliver the information, and it requires a certain level of research, and sometimes it gives you information that you wish you didn't know. But anyway, I just wish that today they would have welcomed the guy, and then maybe tomorrow you ask him some different questions. I don't know. But he also shouldn't have painted himself in a box. He shouldn't have said, just go check the tape, pick a game, any game. And then he didn't know a game from last year. So it is what it is. I've seen a couple of comments in here. The only thing that we ask about, our people in the chat, people that watch and comment or whatever, is let's just be respectful to everybody. I don't mind, like jackasses, no big deal. Anything but an F-bomb is pretty much fine. As long as we're not attacking people, calling them, the B word or something. Let's be, nice to everybody. This is a fun environment, good community of people. You guys are always great. I'm all about, the Constitution, right? You have your rights and everything. We're not trying to take that away from you, but we do have sponsors and people that trust us to deliver their brands in good faith. And so when this stuff is watched, we try to be careful with it. That's all. We just ask for you guys to respect it. Spiciness is okay a little bit, Tracy, as long as we're not, as long as we're not directing it towards people. Anyway, so let's just be cordial to everybody. Let's talk football, man. Let's talk Detroit Lions. Let's have fun with it. Let me check the waves right now. Let's see what's going on and see if we have any news yet. Hopefully we'll get to see some more interviews today. I'm sure I'll break it all down and do a video for you later. And I do super appreciate Better the Hunt and Tracy for helping me out with being mods. And as I get to know people and see people in here, we'll add more because we're always going to need more. And, at times I'll go back through the live chats and try to find people that I think could be good to help. All right. So who do we have next? Being reported by Ian Rappaport. Looks like Mason Rudolph lands in Tennessee. Looks like Darrell Taylor is going to stay a Seahawk. And I don't see anything else. What do I think about Mike Williams? Yeah, so, earlier on Twitter, I said he's not coming. I just don't see the Lions. I don't see the Lions adding another receiver like that. While you ask, let me just open up some of his information real quick. So let's see what we got on him. I'm sure I don't have much. Mike Williams. Let's see here. So 2024, he was set to make 12.5 million roughly. So that's a pretty big number. He's 29 and a half years old. As far as stats go, I know he's coming off an ACL, right? 2023, he only had 19 receptions, 249 yards. And yeah, he's coming off an ACL or some sort of a knee injury. Sounds like he won't be ready until at least the second quarter of the season. And so for that reason, he's probably a perfect fit for Brad Holmes because it's, a cheap deal. It's a potential to have a pretty good wide receiver added to the team. But I just can't imagine that we're going to continue to add all of these injured players because there's only so much room for 53 players. That's all you get. And the rest go on the practice squad. And if you put a guy like him on the practice squad, which ain't going to happen, he would probably get poached. So I don't see it happening. I think if you want to add a wide receiver, you're better off adding a really good rookie because you're going to need to round out that salary cap number. And, you add a rookie in the second round, dare I say, third round, you're paying them $1 million a year. And they can give you really good production. Justin G says, I think this stream launched twice. That was Rocked On Syndicate. That was the other channel. I probably accidentally selected it when I was selecting my streams. Apologies, Justin. Unless it's the morning show, just make sure it's not Rocked On Syndicate. So if I accidentally selected it, then it would be playing in both places. But I should still see all of the chat here. That's what doesn't make any sense. It should still all be under one place. So I'll go back and check. But anyway, we'll see what happens the rest of the day. I apologize for anybody that was in the other one. And hopefully you made it over and caught some of it. Obviously, you can rewind this and watch, the beginning moments of the show. And we'll get back to work and find out what's going on with the rest of the Lions free agents today. I still expect a flurry of news. The Lions have a lot to do. They have a lot of guys to sign or they're going to be gone. I can't imagine that they're going to sit around, waiting to get an offer from the Lions or to sign, a deal with the Lions. They're going to move on if they get an offer. And I can't say with the guys that we have on the free agency list that I would be super upset about losing. The only ones that I was really concerned about, quite honestly, was Graham Glasgow and Josh Reynolds and DPJ. Those are the only ones that I was really worried about. The rest of the guys, I wasn't really, for or against. Benito Jones possibly, but the rest of the guys, I'm not so worried about. I think that we're going to have another big shift this year. We're going to have another 20% of the team that's going to be new, and that's Brad Holmes' MO. They keep rinsing, repeating, and finding new opportunities and new guys to buy into this culture, and we'll see how long they can stick around. And they should be restructuring some deals. I've heard, and I reported a couple of weeks ago that Frank Ragnow was one that was going to be potentially renegotiating or restructuring his deal. And not sure when or if that's still going to happen. We'll see what takes place. But the Lions have plenty of money to get things done, and to think about this too. And I'll just stick this feather in your cap. J Rod, I didn't see your question on Jimmy G. Why don't you go ahead and fire it again? The Lions are picking later in the draft. So the last two drafts, it was about $18-19 million ish to sign the rookie class. Now that we're picking towards the end of the rounds, it's only about 11 million this year. So there's a bigger cushion of available cap space for the Lions this time around. That can get you 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Just, that $7-8 million can get you plenty of players. It could get you, 2 really good players taking a lower base salary. So, all right. So what's your question, J-Rod, on Jimmy G? I see it. Hey, with Jimmy G being released, JG is older. Brad Holmes said they were going to add a third to compete against Hooker. So I didn't see Brad Holmes say that, but I said that I felt that was going to be possible. I thought that they would bring in at least another third to have the option of having a third quarterback. With that rule now, I mean, you can carry a third quarterback. And I believe it's only on game days and it doesn't count against the roster. I'll have to look at the rule again. I still think it counts against your 53 man. But as far as Jimmy G goes, I would stay as far away from him as possible, to be honest with you. I mean, we've seen what we did to Jimmy G last year. Complete mess. The guy was a mess. So I don't want to see that type of play for the Lions. I mean, he was a deer in the headlights. Like, we crushed him, completely crushed him. And when you're that rattled, I'm good. I don't know who else, outside of a quarterback in the draft is what I'm thinking is going to happen here. I think that the Lions will be adding a third quarterback by ways of the draft so that they have, just like they did last year with Adrian Martinez. He ended up being an undrafted free agent. But I think at this point that makes the most sense is grabbing one later in the draft. I mean, even using your last pick in the draft, whether it's for a kicker or a quarterback, there could be somebody available. I honestly haven't evaluated any quarterbacks yet other than the top 5. So I haven't even looked at the later rounds yet. Still got a little bit of time to do that. Lion Fan 222 says, do you think that we have a chance to sign Chase Young? Here's my quick point on that. I think that if we were going to sign Chase Young, it probably would have been done already. But now that he's waited through free agency day number 1, I mean, it's started over, right? You had tampering day number 1, 2, and 3. Now it's free agency day number 1 that started at 4 p.m. The tables have turned a little bit because he didn't get picked up right away. And he's probably asking for too much money. So the longer he sits, the lower the number becomes. And the more heat that gets applied, which means he'd probably sign a deal that's less than intriguing for what he was probably originally asking. There's too many questions about his character and his motor. And for that reason, I would say that it's probably a 60-40, 60% that we wouldn't sign him, 40% that we would. And I think that 40% resides with the fact that he is a darn good edge rusher. But that 60%, man, we've got to get across the board or across the line somehow, to ensure that he's not going to be an issue in the locker room. He's been purported to be just like Jadeveon Clowney, just issues, self-absorbed, not really about anybody but himself. And for that reason, I think it's less likely that we sign him. Let's see here. J-Rod says, last night, missed your answer on the pickup of Tyler Boyd. Let's see. Last night there was tosses around hypothetical question on what if we trade Goff. Oh, was that for me saying that last night? Since the free agency talks thus far, no extension. I am thinking out of the normal, like Brad Holmes. Yeah, so I've been saying that for a couple of days, a couple of weeks now. I started it as, does Brad pull out the crazy? I think that's how I put it on Twitter. Does Brad pull out the crazy and do this? And then the question was trade Jared Goff for 2 firsts and a third. You know, you flip the trade that's already been done once, where, you know, you traded Matthew Stafford for 2 firsts and a third. Do you do it again? This time with Goff. Brad did say things were going to be interesting. I can't imagine that he would do it because they're trying to make it back. At least that's what they're saying. Here's one thing I'll leave you with, and then I'm going to bounce for a little bit. Did Dan Campbell shoot himself in the foot by saying what he said after the season ended? And what I mean by that is he said this was our only chance. Do you guys remember that? So here's why. The why I kind of get off sometimes and you know, on Conspiracy Avenue. And that should be a podcast channel, Conspiracy Avenue. Look for it coming soon. It's because when I see things, hear things like this, and I try to study the psychology of it, like, you know, why would you say something like that? What made you say something like that? What was your body language? The mannerisms, all of it, because in his mind, he's already thinking, number one, I've already told everybody we're not going to have the same team next year. Number two, I've already told everybody, you know, it's very difficult to go back. And number three, I just said that we're not, you know, this was like our only chance to do it. Well, what's changing that's so significant that you couldn't get back? Because if you wanted to re-sign every single guy that meant something to you in 2023, you could. They could have. So what was changing? And that's where I start going down Conspiracy Avenue. And that's where I start talking about, is Jared Goff on the trade block? Is that even a possibility? Because Brad Holmes strikes me as a guy that is, you know, respectful, faithful to his players, you know, very transparent with his players, and at the same time, all about the business side of the franchise. And it's a business move by doing what he did with Matthew Stafford that jump-started this team's trajectory to where it is now. It would be a business move to do it again 3 years later. It wouldn't be anything personal. It would just be a way to continue the jump start by adding more options with draft picks, because him trading a 3rd round pick for Davis, that one threw me for a loop. And it makes me think like he's got something up his sleeve, like he is not worried about draft picks. Like he knows more is coming. So I don't know. That's the Conspiracy Avenue for the day. Maybe we'll turn that into a segment. I don't know. Calvin Ridley just landed a $100 million deal. Are you kidding me? Who did he land that deal with? That's insane. I can't believe he just landed a $93 million deal. The Titans? Jeez. Well, Will Levis gets a nice shiny toy. I don't think Will Levis is going to turn out to be anything. Can't be afraid of milk and play in the NFL. I'm sorry. You know, if we play the Titans this year, because I can't remember the schedule right now, I think that we're just going to have to send Will Levis like cartons of milk. Or I'll dress up as a milk carton or something at the game. All right. So we've had good conversation today. We've got a lot now, a lot coming. I'm not going to pull in Glasgow. I'll watch him offline. But I'll be back. I think we're going to do 8:00 tonight, which would be in 3 hours. I got the show set up for tomorrow. But we'll probably do an hour at 8:00 tonight, just kind of recap. everything, that's happened today. We're expecting some more news coming out of Allen Park today with some internal signings and potentially some external signings. So keep your ears to the ground. We'll see y'all here tonight at 8 o'clock, if not before. All right, y'all, take care.